That, go ahead and hit play again and we'll continue. Okay, so now one of the verbs in our chapter 2 unit here, of vocab here is un verbe réfléchi irrégulier. So it's an irregular reflexive verb, all right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at the verb se sentir, to feel, okay? And as we said, it's a reflexive verb, so we have to have our reflexive pronouns in there. Je me, tu te, il se, nous, nous, vous, vous, and il se, all right? And then now we're going to talk about our conjugations of se sentir. They are irregular, so unfortunately we can't just chop off the IR and add our regular IR verb endings, which are je, yes, tu, yes, il, ite, the IR verb endings, nous, yes, so, and us, vous, yes, so, z, il, yes, so, and te, the IR verb endings. Unfortunately, se sentir, it's irregular, we can't add those endings. So here are the conjugations. Je me sens, tu te sens, il se sent, nous nous sentons, vous vous sentez, ils se sentent. Okay? Now, even though se sentir is irregular, there is kind of a little bit of a pattern here that can help us to remember these conjugations. So on the left side of our conjugation table, the singular side, if you think about it as we chop off the TIR off the end, and then we kind of have this little stem of SEN, and then we add SST, okay? That's a very common pattern for irregular verbs, actually, this SST pattern, okay? And then on the right side of the table, we chop off the IR, and then, so our kind of little stem on that side is SENT, and then we actually have what look like just our regular ER verb endings, ONS, OZ, ENT. So if that helps you to remember that, that's great. So if you don't already have it out, go ahead and grab your irregular verb chart and press pause. Take a moment to copy this verb down onto your irregular verb chart. And when you're done with that, press play and we'll continue. Okay, so we're going to copy down some other irregular verbs onto our irregular verb chart, which are in this unit with health. So the first one is souffrir, the verb that means to suffer or to endure, okay? And our conjugations are je souffre, tu souffres, il souffre, nous souffrons, vous souffrez, il souffre. So even though this verb ends in IR, it actually does not have regular IR verb endings. It actually has ER verb endings. So if you think about chopping off the IR, and then we add s, ons, oz, ent. So that one isn't too bad. So take a moment, press pause, copy this verb down onto your irregular verb chart. When you're done with that, press play and we'll do another one. Okay, our next irregular verb is ouvrir, to open, and it is very similar to souffrir actually. So the conjugations are j'ouvre, tu ouvres, il ouvre, nous ouvrons, vous ouvrez, ils ouvrent. So same kind of thing, it's an IR verb, but it doesn't have those regular IR verb endings. It actually, if you chop off the IR off the end of your infinitive, it actually has the ER verb endings, s, ons, oz, ent. So not too crazy on that one. Go ahead, take a moment, hit pause, copy this one down onto your irregular verb chart, and when you are done, hit play. Okay, moving on, our next irregular verb we're going to do is prescrire, to prescribe. And for prescrire, our conjugations are je prescris, tu prescris, il prescrit, nous prescrivons, vous prescrivez, ils prescrivent. All right, so a couple little patterns here to kind of help us. On the left side of the table, if you chop off the RE, you kind of have the stem, prescrit, and then we've got this SST pattern again, okay? Now on the right side of the table, if you think about chopping off the RE, the only thing that's a little different is we have this V there and after the I. So our stem is kind of prescrive, and then we have the what looks like regular ER verb endings, ONS, OZ, ENT. Hit pause, take a moment to copy this one down, and when you're done, hit play, and we'll do another one. Okay, so our next irregular verb is that we're going to talk about is the verb vivre, okay? And the verb vivre means to live, all right? So our conjugations for vivre are je vis, tu vis, il vit, nous vivons, vous vivez, ils vivent. Now, sorry, going back. Vivre is, if you look at your chapter 2 vocab sheet, is not actually on there. However, a related verb, survivre, is, okay? And so this one, all we have to do, it conjugates exactly like vivre. All we have to do is we just add those letters S-U-R in front of each conjugation, okay? So I'd like you to go ahead and copy down vivre onto your irregular verb chart. And then just right above where you put vivre, to live, go ahead and also copy down survivre, to survive, and underline your S-U-R, okay? You do not have to copy down all the conjugations for survivre as well. I'm just going to show them to you here, okay? So they are je servis, tu servis, il servit, nous servivons, vous servivez, and ils, elles servivent. And some little hints here. For survivre, if you chop off the VRE, or vivre, the VRE off the end, you kind of get this verb stem of servir, or just vie. And then once again, we have that SST pattern going on there. On the plural side of our table, if you chop off just the RE, you have the verb stem of vive or survive. And then we just have what looks like our regular ER verb endings, ONS, OZ, ENT. All right, so make sure you have vivre conjugations on your irregular verb table chart, and then survivre written up here on top of that. When you're done with that, go ahead and press play and we'll continue.